Good Monday morning. Good morning. Good morning. Oh goodness gracious me! What a wonderful Monday morning we are having. It's sunny. It's bright. It's the time of year when we start to think about wearing t-shirts. Actually, you have one on there today.
Yeah, well, I went for a run earlier and it was beautiful and I was in the kitchen and it's really sunny and now I'm sitting in my office and I'm really cold, but I thought I'll get out the pink because it's my happy color. So
There you go. So it's mindfulness on Monday with me and Sune. And today we are trying to tackle the subject of non-striving, which we both agreed is vast, is huge, and is a huge challenge as well for me and for lots of people I know. So we're going to unpick this a little bit and put it back together, and maybe at the end, people will have some suggestions. So thank you if you're listening on the record in playback, and if you have any questions, feel free to throw them our way, and we'll see what we make of that. But so thank you, Sune. It's lovely to see you again.
and you, Philippa, we haven't spoken for a few weeks, so this is lovely.
Yeah, I know. It was holidays. So the children are making their way back to school. Hurrah.
Thank the Lord.
And we have some time to be together. And, this is something that often non-striving, it starts in childhood before we even start to realize that it has its the downside potentially. That studying for results, working towards exams, parents reinforcing that, behavior of, oh, you did well, or that was good work, or, So it's a challenge, isn't it?
Yeah, I think this is a very tricky one actually, because yeah, like you say, we live in a society where everything is very goal driven, very outcome driven, very yeah, it's like we have to reach a point all the time. And although it's good to have goals and it's good to move forward in life and expand and unfold, I think is a nice way of looking at it. And just, yeah, we don't want to be at the same place we were 10 years ago, right? With career or health or life or all of those things. But it is this, yeah, this constant striving for things to be different than what it is. I think that contributes to the unhappiness or the feeling of lack or feeling of not good enough. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. I mean, in various situations, but I think a lot of men in their 40s, mid to late 40s, the kind of midlife crisis kind of thing. And also for us, like we want menopause to be over. We want it to be different to what it is, and then we're kind of losing out on what is here at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it, isn't it? It's how do we live in the moment and work towards goals all at the same time?
Hmm.
And I suppose, part of it is about apportioning your time, your day, your week into opportunities where you have maybe protected time to exercise, or protected time to have family meals, protected time to experience the outdoors. And similarly, we have the time when we are dedicating ourselves to our career goals, or, whatever that might be. So maybe that's a thought.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like working towards it, but not to the detriment of losing out on on the here and now, which is that's the practice, isn't it? Do you mind if I quote something from a book, which I thought sums it up? This is from, where's the screen? It's called Mindfulness, Ancient Wisdom Meets Modern Psychology, and it's by oh my goodness, Willem Kuyken is the professor and the director of the Oxford Mindfulness Center. So I'm going to read this because I think it sums it up quite nicely. So, of course, it's a whole book, and this is a paragraph. But practitioners of mindfulness recognize that striving to get somewhere other than where we are, to become someone other than who we are in this moment, is a recipe for all of the distress associated with failure. So non-striving is not a relinquishment of the effort that is required to be present. It is a relinquishment of the ideology that tells us that peace and well-being lie elsewhere. And the same as acceptance is not passivity.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Passivity or giving up. It's a willingness to meet ourselves in this moment, even in the face of affliction, of adversity. So I think that's it. It's that it's not a relinquishment of the effort that's required to be fully present. It's a relinquishment of the ideology that tells us that peace and well-being lie elsewhere. So I think that sums it up really nicely for me, is that we, with this non-striving bit, is that we're striving to be better, but that may never happen because actually it's here and now. I listened to a podcast recently by Tara Brach, and it was all about FOMO and FOF, so the fear of failure and the fear of missing out. And it was very much that as well. This fear of missing out, what are we afraid of missing out of? And when we sit with it and when we ask those questions, it's like, well, actually, what we're scared of missing out of, we actually already have, but we don't always want to see it like that. There's this hope that, things will be better or different, or that we're missing out on something. But what are we really missing out on?
Yeah, well, I mean, right now we probably could answer that question because we have been missing out on a few things. But was that necessarily worse? I mean,
yeah, and what have we really missed out on? It's traveling and experiences and going to restaurants and meeting up with friends. So yeah, but I think it's more the connection, the conversations, relationships, love, the humanness, probably more than the experiences. Because I don't know about you, but a lot of people also, when they say how much they miss the traveling, and then they go, oh, the thought of getting on a train or getting on a plane and the time it takes, and do I really need to do that?
I can't even stand packing a suitcase or a bag or, whatever you've got. The thought of, I always want to just be transported there like Star Trek. You remember?
Yeah. Well, we went to London this weekend, and I promise you it took us hours to get out of the house because, what if someone knows we're not at home, and should I leave a light on, and do I hide the keys? And, just the anxiety with going away for, like a few hours and being out of the house, all of us, for an extended period of time. It was just like, oh my gosh.
I think I have actually forgotten how to leave the house because I went out on yesterday for a long walk with a friend, and when I came back, my son had been out without a key, and yet he was in the house. And I said, "How did you manage that?" And he said, "Oh, well, you left the back door open for me, didn't you?" And I said, "Oh, not exactly," is what I said. So, yeah, I've totally forgotten how to leave the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
I know.
but you know what? We're not judging, and you know that's fine. Luckily, no one else managed to get into my house, so that was fine.
No.
But yeah, this non-striving, it's interesting, really. Well, it's very interesting. I spent a time moving around, you know, the world, and arriving in countries where my possessions hadn't yet caught up with me, and living very simply with only what's the contents of one suitcase, and actually, you know, like you say, what are we actually missing? Because it was such a breath of fresh air to be given that, you know, I don't have to worry about all this stuff that I have because I haven't got it at the moment, you know. So when it arrived, I felt overwhelmed with all the, you know, the stuff. I'd happily have a big clear out. I'm not quite sure why I didn't get round to it during lockdown.
I don't think you're the only one. Yeah. But you know, that could be also another you know, striving in another context, striving to not just you, but I mean, I'm the same, having the perfect house, or you know, watching programs on TV that makes you feel like you're a hoarder when you've got one box standing around, because, you know, with the clearing out programs, and you think, oh, I need to do that. I need to organize my life. I need to, and you think, you know, what would really be different? And does that not cause more anxiety and FOMO to have the perfect space as well? But I think it's very much, I think for me, it's very much present, especially with the kind of work that we're doing online, and with all the different things that you could be doing, right? The Instagram lives, the social media lives, the posts, Clubhouse, TikTok, writing blog. Like, you feel like, oh my God, I have to do all of those things, and I need to do all of those things. And that can cause this whole sense of anxiety as well. And sometimes kind of missing out on the things that you already have that you could probably repurpose. Because when I went for a run, I was like, okay, I want to do a new workshop, or I want to do something else. I thought, let me just see what I've already got and how I can repurpose that, rather than trying to do something else again.
Well, that's it. I'm definitely a fan of, if it ain't broke, don't fix it, and you know, don't reinvent the wheel. So yeah, absolutely. Things, and sometimes revisiting a piece of work, we redevelop it, we refine it, we remember, we recall that, oh yeah, actually, you know, this is actually quite good. So yeah, definitely, new is not necessarily better. You know, and so we, you know, I put it at the bottom there. We're trying less, but achieving more. Well, I said achieving, then I don't even know if I'm allowed to say that. But yeah, you know, being more, less is more, less is more. I like that, you know.
Well, I think it also kind of, I don't know if I'm right. I'm just going to put it out there, but it's this, you know, like sometimes when we just surrender to something as well, like, you know, you can, yeah, but like weight loss as well, where someone's just pushing, always measuring and ticking, and you know, it's such hard work, like constantly wanting the body to be different, don't like the body, want the body to be different. And that idea that when we surrender into it, like a lot of times when people go on holiday, or they feel really happy, they're in a new relationship, or something has just changed and they're just feeling really happy, and they let go of that striving for perfection with the body and the eating and the weight, then things kind of just naturally shifts, and it's like by magic. But to let go of that striving for it to be a certain way can be really, really hard to go, okay, no, I'm just gonna let it be for a little bit and see what happens. But very quickly the mind switches on and goes, no, you need to get yourself in gear, need to get yourself in action, and then the pushing and the striving starts again.
And I suppose this is where meditation is a big part, such a huge part of mindfulness. This time when we can step away and just be present and be curious, and not get carried away with thoughts, if possible, and just be. So that this is a way of really embracing these, these principles by action, through action, meditation, the act of meditating. And, I did my own yoga practice this morning and surrendered to the mat at the end, thoroughly enjoying it, and feeling somewhat improved, in my frame of mind. But until my printer refused to cooperate this morning, and that sent me down the rabbit hole. But so again, I'll just have to repeat the process over again tomorrow. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah, that's a good example, isn't it? Sometimes when you just turn things on and off, it just that's my answer to everything, because just get myself in a complete twist. But it's like, okay, well, let's just turn it on and off and see what happens, because the more I'm trying to push buttons and trying to figure it out, the less it's actually happening. But it's interesting what you just said about the yoga, and I think that is such a good example of the striving mind, right? And I'm sure you see that with your clients. And I mean, I did a mindful movement session in my mindfulness teaching last week, and that is one of the, I mean, you know more about this than me, but one of the reasons we do mindful movement is to notice the striving mind of, oh no, so Susie next to me is almost doing the splits, so I should be doing the splits too. Or Mary's on her head doing a headstand and I can't even get on my elbows. I'm going to try and get on my elbows. Instead, it's your practice, and it's for you to see what your own limitations are, rather than, working with the limitations and the edges of it, rather than beyond that. Or I also want to do the splits, and I will only be good at this when I'm doing I will never be able to do the splits, but there you go.
No, well, exactly. And well, yes, absolutely that. The practice is yours. It's yours alone. Your body is unique to you. Nobody else has got this, set of circumstances. And there's a lot of risk of injury if we start joining in with that mindset. And actually, I find the online work goes some way to guard against that, because you are immersed in what the teacher is teaching, and not so much observing the fellow attendees. And so you can, and I think as well that comes from good teaching, that we encourage people to dive it within the experience of that moment and that movement, and and it's not about the outcome, the goal. It's about the process. And certain requirements, it's good in life if we can have supple hips and supple shoulders. These things benefit us, and ultimately guard against injury if we are supple, if we are strong. And the tissues are more resilient and we're less likely to hurt ourselves. But by the same token, you don't want to hurt yourself in the process of getting fitter and stronger and more supple, do you? So,
yeah, and that's a difficult thing if you've always, say, for instance, been to a gym and that is you want to see how many weights you can lift and how it's also very measured, right? Because you start off with 1 kilo and you end up with 15, and that means that's a good thing without like even considering. Yeah, I think that's why those intentions are quite good, or like a daily intention of how
intention for your practice, for your day, for how you go about your day, how you go about your relationships, work, whatever. So what do you have one for today?
What did I have for today?
Can we remember? I mean,
what do you mean? What do I have?
Oh yeah, like your intention.
Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning. Because my daughter's back at school and there's this spaciousness around home.
Well, I'll tell you.
Yeah, tell me, because I did think about it, and I think it's around having fun in just whatever I'm doing, right? Like, rather than it being a struggle and a strife. What's yours?
Well, mine's a bit less fun, to be honest. My son hasn't quite gone back to school, like I say. He's going tomorrow. And, we are kind of butting heads a bit at the minute. And I said something about, it's not very nice when I interact with you and what I get back is, whatever the conversation goes, I'm just doing this, or, so I said this to him, and then he came back at me with, well, it's not very nice for me when you do whatever it is that I do, which was around why are you putting that? Why are you drinking coffee at this time in the morning? And why are you mixing it with protein powder? Because he's trying to build muscles at the minute. And I relented and let him have some protein powder, which against my better judgment, which is obviously I'm not happy about it because I keep going on about the protein powder.
Yeah.
So then I was thinking to myself, something more around acceptance, generosity of spirit to my son, and not getting into this situation of conflict, which seems to be a feature at the moment with my 17-year-old.
Oh man, that is
So we just take a deep breath. Well, and breath is so important in all of this, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And I think also, that idea of non-striving in our actual practice, wanting it to be a certain way, wanting to be a good meditator, wanting to have absolute clarity, and see if we can do longer sits, and that would be better if you sit for 40 minutes a day instead of 10 minutes a day, and accepting that some days that's just not possible.
Yeah, well, that's exactly that we these practices can't add to the burden of our current existence. That's really not the point. Explore it, be curious, be interested, and at the same time know that there's a lot of life to live while we are thinking about our goals, whether and wellness goals included. So
and kind of sometimes things like maybe the goal should just be written down and then kind of forgotten about as well, because it becomes a bit obsessive. But if it's more of an intent, I think more of an intention rather than a goal, or values directed, or living by your values and having intentions, and then you will get to wherever whatever that is. Where do you want to get to? What do you want to do? Like
nowhere.
just the holiday would be nice, but other than that, like, and I think so much of it is this feeling, right? We want this feeling of being, I don't know what.
Yeah, feeling of completion, I suppose, the finish, the idea that something's finished when truthfully it never is, and nor will it ever be.
And this idea of the journey, like you said earlier as well, right? Like the not forgetting that it's the process and it's the journey, and it's, it's a bit like going on holiday. Doing some duty-free shopping is as exciting, if you've not been in an airport for over a year and a half, as actually arriving at the holiday destination.
Yeah, definitely.
At the moment, even going to get a sandwich at Pret, which is ridiculously overpriced at an airport, would be an amazing experience.
Yeah. So this has presented us with opportunities. This time away from routine, time away from our usual mundanity, perhaps. Let's not forget any opportunities to live a simpler life, to take in the fresh air, to smell the roses, to hear the birds song, and do that in between time.
Yeah, and that's the practice, isn't it? That's just living more mindfully.
And if you don't have a garden, create one in your mind and go there virtually.
Pot plants.
Pot plants. Oh yeah, well yeah, you could. Although our pot plants are hard to look after because they take so much water. That's my poor pot plants at the minute. And somebody said you've got to feed them, and I'm, oh really? Gosh.
Yeah, it's like more maintenance than an actual pet.
Plants. So
actually, that's a really good analogy for all of this, right? When you plant a seed, the seed doesn't. I don't know if that's a good analogy or why I'm thinking about that, but I guess if we want the plant to be different than what it is, but we're not you can only give it the space, the feeding, the nourishment, the light, everything that it needs, but you can't expect it to be anything other than what it is. If it dies, I guess it dies. I don't know. That's probably a really bad analogy, but
no, I think you were onto something then. Yeah, I do. The nourishment, the opportunity. We give it, the space and then
the right conditions, right?
Yeah. Create the conditions, and it does its own thing naturally. And and that's what we want to do for ourselves. Create the conditions for us to exist in this optimal fashion, and that's different for all of us. And it's and that's good, and that's right.
Exactly. And maybe your son will get to a point where he just thinks, I can't bear all this protein powder anymore, and I'm going to stop doing it because it tastes awful. And
I don't. Yeah.
When I stop exercising, I just turn too fat. So.
Well, I want him to be happy in his skin, and he's got a fabulous physique, and it's a
17-year-old. I shouldn't say that out loud. But I remember the boys at 17. They're at their best shape ever, right?
No, and yet remember back to when we were that age, and were we ever satisfied? Let's try and give this to the young people, because actually it's probably even worse than when we were there. The social driving this agenda of perfection.
What about striving? I mean, they I feel sorry for them. They're bombarded with it, So that's our work, right? That is our work, is to help and guide and teach so that they,
I
yeah.
just, I just have to get him out of the bedroom for long enough to get into yeah, and I need to well, I say I need, see, it's all really hard, this language.
Yeah.
I want to model the behavior of someone who is succeeding with this, so that he sees the benefits. And
Yeah, well, I mean, if there's anyone doing it, it's you, Philippa. I mean, you're just, you're active, you're out there, you're doing it, and that's all we can do, right? Is model behavior, and they need to do with it what they need to do with it. That's just not up to us, but we can only, it's a bit like intuitive eating, you provide, and they need to feed themselves with whatever the variety that you provide them with, but they at the end of the day have to make their own decision.
this is it.
Much easier said than done, of course.
Well, thank you so much for this chat this morning, because I always feel better for talking
Oh,
to you. It raises my spirits if they were not already up there. And I just hope that people can know that we too are human, and that nobody has all the answers. And that I think the greatest thing in a guide is somebody who is open to the idea that they don't know everything, to be honest, and that we do our best, and that maybe there are other people that we need to lean upon to support us through for our respective journeys, my journey, your journey, and everybody else's journey. So,
oh God, yeah, no, that is very true.
well, thank you again.
Thank you, Philippa. I love chatting to you. So have a great week, and I'll speak to you soon.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.